We're back at Module 4 practice exercise, and I'm going to now show you how to complete this descriptive characteristics table for this YRBS data set. So we already have our recoded and computed variables from the first 3 questions. Now we want to find the descriptive statistics for the total sample as well as split by male and female. So I'm going to start doing this whole entire total sample column. It'll just make things a little bit easier to follow. So in SPSS, what I want to do is we're going to run descriptive statistics. So we go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Descriptives on any of our continuous variables. Now in these tables, table 1s that we're going to be doing in homework 3 and so forth, anything that is recoded, you just want to report the recoded values. So since we recoded seatbelt use, that will be recorded differently. And since we recoded sleep hours into categories, we'll just report the categories, not this continuous original variable. So here, the few that we need are age. We're not going to report height and weight because we computed them into BMI. So we will report BMI. So those are the only 2 continuous variables that we have to report now. So we'll just bring those 2 over. I'm doing it at the same time just to save a little bit of time, but you're welcome to do them individually. After I do that, I'm going to hit OK. And then in my output window, I get the descriptives that show up. So how old are you, or the age variable. It tells me the number of individuals, the min, max, mean, standard deviation. Same for the computed BMI variable. So our total sample, this is also that n value, is 97. So in our Word document, we want to fill out the total value of n, or our total sample size, as 97 in that top column in our total sample column. Now remember, for continuous variables, we want to report the mean and the standard deviation. And for nominal or ordinal variables, we want to report the number and percent. I'm actually going to use this symbol instead of the plus minus symbol. I'm going to use the parentheses because they're a little bit easier for me to type faster while I'm recording this for you guys and girls. So age here we see has a mean value of 16.29. So I'm going to round that to 1 decimal place. So 16.3 is our mean. And then in parentheses, I'm going to put the standard deviation of 1.1 because I only am going to report 1 decimal place. And then the BMI value for our total sample is 24.2 with a standard deviation of 5.3. So that's how you're going to report. If you're going to use the parentheses for everything, that's how it would look. If you wanted to use that plus or minus symbol, you would then not use the parentheses. Just make sure whatever you have in this header row here matches what you're showing in your table body. So these continuous variables are slightly easier to find and do than the frequency procedure for our nominal or ordinal variables. So now we'll do the nominal and ordinal variables. So again, analyze descriptive statistics, then frequencies. Then we want to bring over all of the nominal or ordinal variables. I'm doing it all at once just because it's faster, but you can do them one by one too if you'd like. So I'll bring over race, ethnicity. I want to bring over our recoded. Oh no, it won't let me do what I want. There we go. Our recoded seatbelt use variable, our bullying status, smoking status, asthma status, and then our recoded sleep hours. The order that you bring them over here into the variables section is going to be the order they display in our output window. So I brought them over in the same order that's in the table. That way it's a little easier to transfer back and forth. We don't need any statistics for these because we're just going to be looking at our frequency tables. So after we bring those over, we'll press OK, and it'll run in as our output window. So let's do race ethnicity first. So we don't want to put anything in this first row, that's the header of our nominal variable race ethnicity. We'll skip that row and we'll come down to the African American category. Remember, in our SPSS output, the frequency is the same as the number and the percent is the percent. So African American, we had 14 individuals who responded as African American and a 14.4% of the sample. Caucasian was 42 with 43.3%. Hispanic was 32 with 33.0%. And other race was 9 individuals. Oops, 9.3%. Now notice I'm not putting the percent symbol here. It's not wrong if you do include it, but since I have the percent symbol in the header of the row, it doesn't need to be included in the body of the table. So you can see 14 and 14.4% come directly from the frequency table. Now we'll do recoded seatbelt use. So the never used a seatbelt option, we had 3 individuals, or 3.1% of our sample, responded that they never used a seatbelt. Those that responded rarely or sometimes were 14 individuals, which was 14.4%. And those that most or always used a seatbelt was 80 individuals, or 82.5%. Next, we're going to look at this bullying status. Now, in our table here, I only have been bullied. So that would be the individuals who responded yes to the question, have you been bullied at school in the past 12 months? So the people that answered yes was 17 individuals. That was 17.5 of the population of our sample. Now, I could have included bullying and then put these under categories and had you put in yes and no, but that would get this table really, really large, even larger than it already is, and it would go off of onto 2 pages. So instead of doing that, I'm just having you report those who responded yes to the bullying, smoking, and asthma status questions. So the next one is smoking status. If they did smoke, was 45 individuals, or 46.4% of the sample. And then asthma status, so anyone who responded that they had asthma, so a yes to have you ever been told you have asthma, would be 17 individuals, or 17.5%. Now on your homework, I have you reporting all of the categories of each variable because I didn't give you quite as many variables, but I just wanted to show you that to make the table shorter, you can just report the one of the variable options, value options. And our last one is the sleep hours. Now here we could put in the mean and standard deviation of sleep hours, but we recoded it so we're only going to put in the number and percent of less than 8 hours or 8 hours or more of sleep because we don't need all of that information. We just want to know how many people are getting more than 8 or less than 8. So 59 individuals, or 60.8%, were getting less than 8 hours of sleep, and 38 individuals, or 39.2%, were getting more than 8 hours or more of sleep. So that's how we would fill in this first column of the table. Next, we want to look at all of those same descriptives between female and males. Sorry, my cat's running around right now and she's making a ton of noise in the background, if that's what you're hearing in the background. So we're going to split the file by male and female, but first we want to run just a simple frequency on male and female. So I'm going to run just analyze descriptive statistics frequencies just on gender so we can get the number and percent in each group. So the females have 47 individuals, which is approximately 48.5%, and the males have 50 which is 51.5%. So that's what I'm looking for you to report in that header row under male and female. So we have female, and then in parentheses, n equals 47, because that's the number, and 48.5%. Since we're not putting those in the characteristics along the rows, we want to make sure we indicate how many individuals and what percent of the sample that is in our header rows themselves. Now we're going to either split the file or select cases. I'm going to show you the split file command because it makes everything show up at the same time instead of running everything 2 more times plus the total sample. So we're going to go to Data in SPSS and Split File. Then we get our pop-up screen that the standard is Analyze All Cases, do not create groups. But we want to actually compare groups. We want to compare groups based on gender. Then we will have them sort the file by the grouping variable, which is gender, and then we'll press OK. It tells us, SPSS output tells us they did that. Now we want to go back and run those descriptive statistics again. So analyze descriptive statistics, descriptives, we're going to run age and BMI. So those should still be there from the first total sample one. But now when we run it, we're going to get results split by the female gender and the male gender. So this is where you would want to put your values for the mean and SDs for age and BMI. So females had a mean age of 16.4, and their standard deviation was 1.2, where males had a age of 16.2 and the standard deviation of 1.1. Then we'll go down to BMI. For females, the BMI was average 23.9 with a standard deviation of 5.4. And then males had a mean of 24.5 and a standard deviation of 5.3. So that's where you get that information from, is this table, and you want to make sure you're looking at the gender that you're filling in the column for when you do this. Next, we want to run those frequency tables again. So we're going to go back to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Frequencies. Then we're going to bring back the ones that we had originally. So we need race, ethnicity, we need seatbelt _ R, a recoded seatbelt variable, bullied, smoked, asthma, and the recoded sleep hours. We don't need any statistics, so we're just going to click Display Frequency Tables, make sure that's checked off, and press OK. Now we have these frequency tables showing us the different frequencies and percents split by male and females. So for females, we had 7 individuals, or 14.9%, identify as African American. We had 16, or 34.0%, identify as Caucasian. 19, or 40.4%, identify as Hispanic or Latino, and 5 that identified as other race. For males, we're going to go down the same chart. There were 7, or 14%, 14.0%, that identified as African American, 26, or 52.0%, who identified as Caucasian, 13, or 26.0%, who identified as Hispanic Latino, and 4, or 8.0%, who identified as other race. If we added all of these percents up in each column, they would add up to 100. If we added across they would not add up to what's in this first one, but if we averaged them, they would be the value that's in our first column. So that's always something you can check as well to make sure you're getting the right answer if you're concerned about that. So now let's do the seatbelt use. So for females, we had 2 that responded they never used a seatbelt, 4.3%. Rarely or sometimes was 7, 14.9%. 38 or 80.9% said that they most times or always used a seatbelt, females. In the males, we had 1 individual, which was 2.0%, who never used a seatbelt, 7 or 14.0 who rarely or sometimes used a seatbelt, and 42 or 84.0% who mostly or always used a seatbelt. Now this again, we only need to look at the yes options for the bullying, smoking, and asthma status. So for females have been bullied in the past 12 months, 11 answered yes, which would be 23.4%. And in males, 6 answered yes, and that's 12.0%. Have smoked. Females, we had 21 who smoked, 44.7%. Males, we had 24, which is 48.0%. Asthma, let's scroll down here. We had 10 females who responded that they had been told they had asthma, and we had 7 males out of our sample that had been told they had asthma. And our sleep hours is last, so we had 30 females who got less than 8 hours of sleep, so there's 63.8%, and 17 females who got 8 hours or more, which is 36.2%. Then we had 29 males, or 58.0%, got less than 8, and 21, or 42%, who got more than 8 hours of sleep, 8 or more hours. So that's a completed descriptive characteristics table. I know it takes a lot of time to pull it together. However, this is a really important part of this class, as well as moving forward, making professional looking results that are easy to interpret and understand. The last part of this is writing a summary of this table that we just made. I'm going to let you just read what is in the answer key on D2L, because that's a really great summary of the table, and you're welcome to model your own summary for the homework 3 completely off of that example summary. That way you're hitting everything I'm talking about in your in the instructions here. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. You can send me an email or a remind message. You can stop by office hours or set up an appointment and we can try and meet up at a different time. Good luck with the homework.